G'day everyone, James here with JWN Lawn Care and Landscaping, bringing you another video. On YouTube. Slow day today. We're not mowing because it's a university day for me, so I got my online classes Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I'll just leave those days out. I actually made this video a couple of days ago, but I thought, no, I've rambled on for too long, so we're going to do it again, and I've got some more stuff to tell you about too. So, first thing, news announcement. Quite sad, really. Second biggest airline in the country, Virgin Australia, has gone into voluntary administration this morning because they're just not making any money. And this is, you know, it just kind of hit the nail on the head for me with how much the economy globally is struggling, especially aviation. Being a pilot, you know, kind of that hits me really hard because there's kind of only really 7 major airlines in the country. And, you know, of those, all but one are owned by either the Virgin Group or the Qantas Group. So, if the Virgin Group collapses, we lose 3 out of 7 major airlines, you know. It's hard. So, look, this was kind of impending, like we were waiting. We knew it was going to be really tough because Virgin already has $5 billion in debt before this even happened, so I feel like this is kind of the last nail in the coffin for them. Everyone's saying they're not going to like completely collapse, Ansett style, but you know, we've already had a few other airlines cease trading because of this. What is it? Flybe in the UK, I think, has closed its doors. South African is on their way out, although they're not really saying much about it. And yeah, Virgin now, so it's tough. I don't know if they're going to come back. Like, hopefully they will, because it's going to be difficult if just the Qantas Group runs the kind of airline game in Australia. But, you know, understandably, everyone was calling for government backing. You know, the government should give them $1.5 billion in funding to keep them afloat. I mean, it's all very nice in a, you know, what would you call it? Charitable sense. You know, that's the kind of the thing you do with your heart. But unfortunately, a government, or a good government, can't work off its heart. It works off its head. The head says, this company's been losing $5 billion. Why are we giving them more money? Because clearly there's a flaw somewhere in the model that they're using to run the business that's not working, and this has just highlighted it. So I think Virgin will come back. I'm hoping they'll come back, but they're going to need one of the biggest business model restructures ever seen in history, I reckon, because there's got to be a lot of changes made. I'm hoping Tiger Air, their subsidiary, low-cost kind of side of things, will come back too, because they've suspended all flights and fired all their pilots. So it's a difficult time. Anyhow, yeah, that's the thing. Cash is king, right? That's the core behind every business, apart from some charities or non-for-profit. It's cash that runs a lot of the economy, you know. We rely on it. So if you don't have any cash, or worse still, you're losing cash, you're never going to be able to survive these sorts of things. So, you know, you would have seen I've probably made some silly purchases, you know, over the past week, but it's kind of mild in terms of where I'm at, in terms of like customer wise, and how much I'm making from them, and how many of them are staying on versus how many are dropping off. But you really don't want to be splurging a lot of cash at the moment, because if things do continue to fall, we're going to be in big trouble. So try and save up where you can, right? You know, just put aside some money. I've got a whole pile of accounts set up in my Commonwealth Bank app that just, you know, I've got like my core card account for my business customers that they transfer money into, and then from that I've got an automated system set up so it automatically pays a certain amount into my personal card each week, a certain amount into my savings account each week, a certain amount into an equipment account each week, a certain amount into some other, like the deposit account I've got for my trailer and mower setup. You know, so it's doing all those things automatically, and that's what you need, because if every cent that comes into your pocket just falls straight back out again, you're not making any money. You know, so you might say, well, I've made $10,000 this month, but if you've also spent $10,000, your actual total net profit is zero, you know, because none of it's actually being retained. So you need to retain cash. Cash is very important, especially now. Everyone wants cash. So yeah, it's good. I actually just got a call today to do a couple more big jobs, which is nice, because we do need that. But I want to take you kind of through where's this all going to go, because I've kept it pretty small throughout high school, because I just, you know, I have very limited time to work. But now I did the numbers yesterday. I've basically doubled my business in the past kind of 3 to 4 months in terms of customers. So I'm pretty happy with that. And, you know, because it's kind of stayed pretty stagnant most of the time. I've just kind of kept the same number, couple on, couple off, whatever. Maybe I'm gaining 1 or 2 customers or 3. I don't. It doesn't. You know, it varies. But you know, so far we've gone through the roof with new jobs, which is awesome. So yeah, I wanted to kind of talk to you about, well, what's kind of the plan in my head for where this is all going to go, because it's very well to have a business, but if you don't have an idea, like a vision of where you want it to be, you're still not going very far, right? So what I did, I got this big old bit of butcher's paper, and I've basically, this is a very rudimentary version. I was very cluttered office, by the way. Very rudimentary version of the fleet plan. I've still got to add in handhelds, I've still got to add in more mowers, I've still got to add in smaller equipment and so on. But this is kind of the basic, this helps me kind of see where do I want to take my business. And now nothing you see here is like kind of confirming what I'm buying. This is just kind of me saying this is the sort of thing that either through machines I've demoed, or machines I've seen in action, or machines I've heard talked about, would work well for the application that I'm using. So I've split it up into small residential and commercial, large residential and commercial, acreage, block slashing, trees, and landscaping. They're kind of our core 6 areas that I really want to focus on for the moment. I'm thinking about adding house cleaning, home maintenance, some more of that kind of thing later on. If you are going to go into the commercial side of things, that's really helpful, because anyone that's in that commercial maintenance side will tell you, like, the more services you can offer to your customers, the better, because if you can basically be a one-stop shop for them, they'll love you. Whereas if you just say, I just do mowing, then if there's another company who can do absolutely everything for them, they're going to go with the other company. So I don't know, again, things are still going to be changed around, but the way I've kind of looked at it is, for the small residential and commercial, nothing over 48 inches is my thinking. So I'd probably have a couple of decks to share between the walkers, you know, 36, 42, 48, probably either a 32 or a 36 stand on, and I'm thinking a ute, but maybe a small truck, tip truck, maybe, but probably not necessary, because most residential, like smaller places, if we do catch anything, we can just put it straight in a green bin. And if there was a little bit of stuff from a commercial side or a customer that didn't have a green bin, then we can just tip it in the back of the ute or into some buckets or whatever. That's not usually an issue. Large residential and commercial definitely want a tip truck though, because you know, if you're picking up a fair bit of grass from these commercial sites or whatever, and you need somewhere to tip that, truck's going to make it a whole lot easier for you because it saves space on your trailer. Because bear in mind, being in suburban Melbourne here, we don't have the huge streets that a lot of people have in the US and, you know, kind of regional towns. As it is, my 7x5 just fits through in a lot of places, so I don't really want to go much bigger than that for kind of the residential suburban game, because you just end up you can't fit through half the places. So by having a little tip truck, you cut down on your trailer size. So, you know, I could afford to just have a trailer just big enough to fit a couple of machines, and that's it. So for the kind of residential, larger residential and commercial, maybe go up, I'd probably add something like another sit down zero turn into this, maybe a 60 inch or a 54 inch. I'm thinking something like a 54 inch Hustler X1 could do quite well in this scenario. I don't think a 60 is really that necessary, because the other thing you can do is you can tag team your different groups here. So say for schools, if I was maintaining a school, I could have, and a lot of guys do have, various different trucks coming in from various kind of parts of the business. So the other thing I don't have on here, while I quickly remember, is a garden crew. I've decided, the original version I made of this video, I decided I was going to have a garden crew in here as well, a dedicated garden crew just doing hedge trimming, pruning, weed spraying, all that sort of stuff. Because I've worked out, if you have a mowing team doing that, it cuts their productivity by miles, right? So if you want to keep your mowing crews churning through the lawns, that's all they should be doing. You know, garden stuff, it's a longer process. So, you know, if you can just say to your lawn crew, you're just doing the lawns, just go in, buzz the lawn, get out again, and then the garden crew can come in, and if they only get 5 gardens done in a day, so be it, but at least it's kept your mowing crew moving, because the thing that needs doing the most and the most often is the mowing. So I think that side of things should be just kept to be able to do their own thing, and I'll have a separate garden crew, just probably with a tip truck, just doing garden work. So say at a school, if we had, you know, like a regular high school here or whatever, say, you know, they've got an oval or two, they've got a bunch of grass around, you know, the classrooms in the main buildings, and then they've got, you know, trees, hedges, bushes, that sort of stuff as well. You could potentially actually utilise 3 of your different teams. So you'd have, you know, the kind of either the small or large commercial team come in, say maybe with a walker or a stand-on, to do the kind of more confined areas around the classrooms or whatever. Then you'd have your garden team to come in, and they do all the, like, any bushes or hedges that needed trimming, any trees that need pruning, any weeds that need to be pulled out or sprayed or whatever the case may be. They do all that, mulch, anything else. And then say your acreage team could come in and mow something like the oval, because they're usually pretty big. So something like a 60 inch or a 72 inch would do pretty well on that. Does it kind of, yes, it means you need multiple teams doing the one job, but if it means they're all in and out really quick because they're all just doing their one task, I think that's better. Let me know your thoughts. So yeah, I reckon maybe up to 54 in this size, in this side of things. Again, thinking like MB, MT, stand on, whatever, X1 acreage. Kind of looking at having a sit down and a front mount. So front mount for like the really big wide open areas. You know, if we're doing just paddock slashing and stuff, that's where they come in pretty handy. Any tight areas, places where you just want to rip through stuff, get around a lot of trees and so on, zero turns are really good. So in that scenario, I'd probably go a 60 and a 72 respectively. And then block slashing, a lot of that normally You could tag team these two up as well and blast through places if you had, say, an overgrown acreage that needed to be slashed down. The reason I put the Gianni Ferrari in there is because another group, Frodry Group, they run Gianni Ferraris here in Melbourne, and a truck setup, which is where I kind of got the idea for that from. And they're really good. They use their Gianni Ferraris on a lot of block cleanups, because they just, they pick everything up and it leaves it really clean. So you can afford to get a bigger mower like that into smaller suburban homes, because they're not blowing grass out and everything. So probably looking at a 60-inch Kubota rear discharge, probably like a 52-inch. I can't remember the exact deck sizes available in the Gianni Ferrari, but probably around a 52 inches, I think, the standard deck size. For that, tip truck, nice and big, and I'm actually thinking as well of something like the Ferris 36-inch rear discharge stand-on. That could be quite good in that application as well, because there are a number of suburban block cleanups that we do where you couldn't get a big machine in like that. They're obviously trees. Probably want something like a 1590 or an 1890 XP. Nice big chipper tipper. You really do need a tipper, one of those. I know some of them don't tip, but anyone who runs one will tell you they're just so much better being able to tip everything straight out. And the beauty of that is you could then use the mulch from that to do landscape jobs, or schools, or anywhere else where you need mulch in your beds. Perfect. And their landscape team, that I'm still working on. That's probably the last. These are probably the last two that I'll implement. Something like a bobcat, dingo, that sort of thing, plus a tip truck so they can run around. I've got to figure out trailers for all these too. And I've kind of written down here as well the people requirements. So I'm thinking for small residential and commercial, 2, large 3, acreage 3, block slashing 2, trees 3, landscaping 3. Now I've also put in here sometimes where I think possibly we might need another person. So that could be, say, where if you've got a day when you don't need 3 people doing block slashing, that extra third person there goes and helps the mowing team, or vice versa, so they could move around. Obviously you won't want someone like a tree person trying to use walker or whatever, but unless they're trained in those as well. But they're kind of more easily connectable ones, and cross working ones that could work quite well. That's kind of the basic business plan. So that's what I'm working towards. Can't lie, if I could have this in 5 years it'd be awesome, but I think that's probably a bit excessive. Maybe 10, I don't know, but that's kind of what I'm working towards. And again, there's a lot more that's going to go on there and build as I kind of work through my company and figure out what works, what doesn't, and what we can offer the best. Next thing I wanted to talk about was purchases, and this goes back to the cash is king thing, right? I've been talking to a few mates about this, because everyone loves getting new equipment, right? But you gotta justify it, because you gotta remember, none of our stuff's cheap. So you have to go through a few things to work out whether what you're buying is actually worth buying, because not everything is. So what we do is a thing called cost-benefit analysis. Okay, some of you might have heard that term before, others won't have ever heard it mentioned in their life. But cost-benefit analysis, right? We're talking about a fair bit in my business course at university, because it's really important. All the successful businesses, they have to do their cost-benefit analysis, because it's the only way to run a good business. That's how you tell between the ones that succeed and the ones that fail. The ones that succeed, they're making their purchases as required, and they're checking, is this actually worth getting? So I'm going to be doing a lot of extensive demos, as I already have been. I've spent the past 5 months crunching numbers on every property I have, researching numerous different models of machine just to see what works and whether I can actually justify the cost. Because I'm sitting here thinking, well, shit, because if I mess this up between the trailer that I'm going to have to get built to carry one of these machines, or the one I've already got, frankly, and the mower I'm going to get, minimum cost we're currently looking at is probably $30,000. That's a lot of money to throw at something if it's not actually right for what you're doing. That's a huge amount of debt to have. So you want to be absolutely certain that the purchase you're making is the right purchase, and hence why I'm going to be running the ring with all these, just to make sure that I'm not buggering something up and losing money as a result. There's some occurrences where cost-benefit analysis don't have the time. That pole pruner didn't have the time to do it. Was that the best purchase? No. And I'm going to be perfectly open and honest and say that it wasn't. I sort of regret it, but at the same time, I'm kind of comfortable knowing that I do have a number of places where I could put it to use. So it will pay itself off, it's just not as fast as I'd want. I aim to have all my purchases paid off within 6 months, but obviously if a big ride-on or whatever, that doesn't work, unless you're doing a hell of a lot of work. So yeah, 6 months for like handhelds, backpack blowers, that sort of thing. It's what I aim for. Now here's the really big easy trap people get sucked into, because I've explained this to a lot of kids and other business owners alike. When they're talking about a new tool and they go, oh, it's, let's say, $500. It'll only take me, 10 jobs to pay it off. Well, sure, that might be true. 10 jobs, but you've got to think, are you actually making a profit at that rate? So let's say, for example, let's use the BR700, okay? So retails for, give or take $1,000 here. And you could say, well, yes, I'll pay that off. I do 10 jobs at $100 each. I've paid it off. It's fine. Sure. But again, you got zero profit. And in fact, you've actually got worse than that. You're actually losing money on a lot of things. Because what you have to do, especially if you're running crews, you need to work off the thirds rule. Okay, so that means you got a third going to your equipment and your maintenance and everything else, and fuel. You got a third going to your employees, and you got a third to profit and tax. That's how it works. Okay, so realistically, that 10 jobs at $100 each to pay off that $700 now doesn't work, right? Because if you run by that method, the thirds rule, you're going to do a lot better. Okay, so let's say 1,000. No, let's do 100 divided by 3. So yeah, so you got about. So you've actually only got $33.33, right? But it's worse than that. You don't even have $33.33 to pay off that BR700. $33.33 out of that 100 is to cover all your equipment. So let's say I use BR700, Honda 216, FS94 with edge attachment. I don't know. You've actually got to split that again by 3, right? Suddenly, you've got $11.11 paying off that BR700. Now, yes, that's going to be changed a little bit because, you might say, well, this machine's worth more, that machine's worth less, blah, blah, blah. But roughly speaking, my stomach's grumbling, it's a lot less than what a lot of people think. So don't fall into that trap. Right, so you gotta remember, before you buy something, always run those numbers and just see, realistically, taking into account all those factors, how long is this actually going to take me to pay off? How many jobs am I actually going to do with it to get it paid? because it could be a lot more than you think. All right. So that's some food for thought, right? Trust me on this one. Okay. Let me know how you do it though. I'm keen to hear if anyone has a different way, but that's kind of the way that I've worked a lot of this off, because I know that I need, especially with Connor, I've got to pay him for driving and I've got to pay his hours. So I know that amongst all that, I need to factor that in too. So that's why I bought that pole saw, because I knew, well, by the time I actually, I've got a job in Doncaster, which is in, the other side of my suburb, right? It's further up north. And then the place I hired the pole pruner from is in Carnegie, which is further down south from from where I am in Burwood. So it's actually, I have to drive so much further back to Carnegie, drop the machine off again, wait for them to get it fixed, drive back again, because they probably wouldn't have one done until the end of the day, figure out how I was going to do my other jobs with a full trailer of green waste, then go back down to Carnegie again for the third trip now this is. Hopefully pick up another pole saw. That could be another couple of days later by the time they'd fixed it up, or at least a day later it was going to be. Then go back all the way to Doncaster again, then try and finish off the job, then go back to the tip, so I've had 2 loads of green waste instead of 1, then drive back again to Carnegie. Like, it's kind of roughly speaking, it's a half-hour trip each way. So what's that? 30 an hour and a half, 2. So I'd be paying Connor for at least 2 hours just of, driving to and from Carnegie to get that pole saw, plus the kilometres in that, which would probably amount to, at least as much, if not more. I just thought, what, the numbers don't add up. I thought I need something now that's going to get this job done quick. So that's what I did. Would I normally do that? No. Anyhow, that's my hot take. Let me know what you think of that. Because, yeah, I don't know, I've run out of content, but my nice Lego plane there, yay. Yeah, you can see I got all my other business things there. They're just, I've got to fill those out. Abundance Global, really good team. Great business card growth thing. And I've got my pay guide there too. So anyhow, that's all for today. Chuck us a like, please. I know some people going along disliking my videos. I saw at one point, this one guy, I think they just, same person, just gone through like my entire channel, my entire list of videos. I got like 200 videos, man. And this numbnut just went through and disliked nearly every single one of them. I'm like, really? Okay. Numbnut. Whatever. Stay safe during this thing. There's going to be a lot of people losing their jobs just in Virgin. It's going to be like 10,000 job losses, plus another like 6,000 contractors. So to whoever decided to eat a bloody bat, fuck you to the moon, mate. Come on. They did say one person can't change the world. That's proven to be bullshit too. But yeah, look, we're all done for now. We're nearly at, is it nearly 700 subscribers? Yeah. I think we're nearly at 700. Let's get us there, right? Peace in the Middle East. Don't eat bats, please. Be good to your customers. They'll be good to you. Be good to your employees. They'll hopefully be good to you. Be good to yourselves at some point as well. Tell me what you think. We'll see you in the next one.